I don't know, maybe 500,000 per Bitcoin, maybe 400,000 Bitcoin, somewhere there is where we start becoming the second largest asset class on the planet. And I think at that point you start to demonetize gold because you have this new thing that is surpassing that 1,000-year monetary technology in 16, 17, 18 years. So that's when you start to shift and think, okay, I need exposure to this. I'm willing to dump my gold and buy some of this. And maybe gold is the only valuable thing a lot of people have left after, the dollar starts to hyperinflate or devalue even more. Because you have to imagine at that threshold, like, what does the world look like when Bitcoin is $500,000? It's a very different world than today, right? It's not 80, 90, 100, 108. It's a very radically different world. And I think people miss that mindset that things change as Bitcoin goes up in big chunks. Like 200, it's a very different world.
While former President Trump referred to a return to sound money policy in the event of his re-election, Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen recently issued a warning about the unsustainable trajectory of the U.S. debt. Samson Mow, a proponent of Bitcoin, has intervened with a daring new forecast that has the potential to upend the whole financial system. In his most recent presentation, Mow explains why the coming months are crucial for the world economy as well as for Bitcoin. He describes how a wave of nation-state adoption is going to start, how institutional demand is booming, and how central banks are losing control. As macroeconomic pressures escalate and Bitcoin hovers just below $103,000, Samson thinks we're on the verge of hyper-Bitcoinization. He claims that the best protection will be sovereign adoption, but he also warns of an elite-driven scheme to dominate cryptocurrency and influence markets. If you're intrigued by bold predictions and deep financial insights, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications for more engaging content. Thank you for your support and enjoy the video.
Things change as Bitcoin goes up in big chunks, like 200, it's a very different world. From 200, 500, you just have to, double plus a little bit, right? And then from 500 to a million, it's just a double. So these things become more likely the higher we go because it's not like we're 10xing, we're just doubling from 500 at that Veblen threshold. The US is seemingly on a track to recovery from financial mismanagement, let's say. I don't see the same happening in Europe and other places. They're all sort of in denial, but at least the Trump admin has sort of recognized the problem. That's why they're trying to stop the death spiral. That's why they've implemented the Department of Government Efficiency. This is why they're trying to lower the 10-year rates. They realize that the debt is unsustainable. Inflation is a symptom, and something has to be done. And they're trying these other things, but Bitcoin is the only solution that will fix these things. So yeah, to answer your question, yeah, it's a bit surprising the US was the next big one. I thought we'd have another big country, and that's kind of what we've been trying to accomplish at Jan 3. But what we've encountered is just everyone wants to wait for the US, and there's just a lot of fear of career risk. And with this shift in the US landscape, I think there is no more career risk. And that alleviation of the fear about doing something with Bitcoin, it just hasn't made its way around the world yet. Many Bitcoiners were expecting, like, we're going to get an Omega candle right now with the EO, but I think you need some massive change before that is going to happen, like retail coming in or normal people understanding Bitcoin, and or even just the action of buying either from the US or other countries, and that hasn't happened yet. The EO is just sort of news, and it's not well understood, and the impact is not well understood. So yes, the adoption of Bitcoin in the US is a direct threat. And it's not even about Bitcoin at this point. Like, the US is also looking to push stablecoins in a big way. And it looks like, Tether is going to be a part of that. So what does that mean for Europe? I think they should be far more concerned about stablecoins because the barrier to understand a stablecoin is far lower than Bitcoin. So imagine you can go to any merchant with your self-custodial wallet, pay the merchant in a stablecoin, and that's fully outside of their control. Like, they can't really police that. Maybe they'll try. They'll go more draconian, more authoritarian, but it won't work. And the CBDC won't work either. So yeah, I'm just not sure what's happening in Europe now, but it doesn't look good for sure. The Bitcoin price movements are becoming bigger and bigger, and people are not always aware of these movements. 100K is just 10x. Bitcoin has done 17x in the past with a totally different macroeconomic landscape than today. Like, zero Bitcoin national adoption, no strategic Bitcoin reserves, no talk about issuing Bitcoin bonds, and no talk about buying 1 million Bitcoin from the US. So it's completely within the realm of possibility that you get a 100K candle soon, maybe this year. So I think that the biggest thing is the Omega candle is saying be ready for this when it happens because things are changing very, very rapidly.
According to Samson Mow, Bitcoin's journey is only getting started. He calls the present momentum a game changer and draws a comparison between the early days of Bitcoin and the current surge of attention and investment. Now that BlackRock is joining the market, according to Mow, this will fundamentally alter the cryptocurrency scene and pave the way for even more institutional funding. He claims that, similar to past bull runs, this money infusion will drive Bitcoin's price significantly higher. He stresses that the global financial system is undergoing a significant change. It's evident that the world is finally seeing the value of Bitcoin as more governments, organizations, and media outlets start to accept it. Samson claims that cryptocurrency has the potential to surpass all other asset classes in terms of performance. To remain up to date on the most recent developments in Bitcoin, cryptocurrencies, and the digital economy, please take a moment to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and enable post notifications.
A Veblen effect is just taking that and extrapolating that concept and applying it to Bitcoin, whereby there is like a threshold at which Bitcoin crosses this and now it is like the new gold. And I think we're already seeing an inkling of that with the executive order to create the SBR. But in terms of price, I would say that threshold is probably somewhere at, I don't know, maybe 500,000 per Bitcoin, maybe 400,000 Bitcoin. Somewhere there is where we start becoming the second largest asset class on the planet, and people can kind of directly compare gold at the top with 20 trillion and Bitcoin with half of that. And I think at that point you start to demonetize gold because you have this new thing that is surpassing that 1,000-year monetary technology in 16, 17, 18 years. So that's when you start to shift and think, okay, I need exposure to this. I'm willing to dump my gold and buy some of this. And maybe gold is the only valuable thing a lot of people have left after the dollar starts to hyperinflate or devalue even more. Because you have to imagine at that threshold, like, what does the world look like when Bitcoin is $500,000? It's a very different world than today, right? It's not 80, 90, 100, 108. It's a very radically different world. And I think people miss that mindset that things change as Bitcoin goes up in big chunks. Like 200, it's a very different world. From 200, 500, you just have to, double plus a little bit, right? And then from 500 to 1 million, it's just a double. So these things become more likely the higher we go because it's not like we're 10xing, we're just doubling from 500 at that Veblen threshold. You are seeing the coins on exchange decline, right? And I think it'll just accelerate now with more corporate buys. And if there are nation state buys, like with Cynthia Lummis's bill, then that's just going to accelerate. And I don't think everyone fully understands the 21 million limit, right? Because we've grown up, when I say we, I mean everybody, we've grown up in a very fiat world where there's always wiggle room, right? With a fiat economy, you can always fix your mistake. Okay, like in Canada, maybe we spent too much on vaccines. Now we, print some more money. And printing doesn't necessarily mean money on a printing press. There are so many ways to print money, right? Issuing debt or monetizing debt. But you can fix your mistake, right? We messed up. Well, we'll fix it. But with Bitcoin, there is no recourse. Just like you can't roll back the Bitcoin chain if there's a theft, right? You just can't print more. And that reality has not yet hit the general populace that, okay, there is only 21. And that number is dropping rapidly. They don't know. Like, there's just never been anything like this before. Like, maybe gold, but still, like 2% inflation a year. And it can increase if there is demand. So it's like a different beast still compared to Bitcoin. And it takes a lot of going down the rabbit hole to really understand that ultimate scarcity, that it's just like hitting a wall. No one will help you get more Bitcoin because you can't. If you break down the Bitcoin pie, maybe like 3-4 million coins might be lost, right? Maybe 5 on the higher end of the boundary, but a lot of coins were lost. You can't look at Bitcoin at the lens that you're looking at it today and understand that people 10, 15 years ago understood it the same way, a lot of people just didn't care, or yeah, they just lost it and threw away the hard drive. And there's a lot of that. And that brings us down to, maybe 15, 16 million coins available. And Michael Saylor alone has taken off all the coins to be mined this year, maybe twice, maybe more. And then you factor in any other significant buyer and you get a multiple of that. So it's likely that Bitcoin is already deflationary, right? Everything that is mined is not adding to the supply. So there is really little Bitcoin left.
Samson Mow effectively illustrates the direction of Bitcoin and the imminence of a financial tipping point. He thinks that Bitcoin will cross a crucial threshold when it hits a price between $400,000 and $500,000. By then, Bitcoin will not only be a profitable asset, but will also begin to challenge gold as a major worldwide store of value. According to Mow, Bitcoin's entire market value will approach the value of the $20 trillion market capitalization of gold when it reaches such levels. Samson also highlights something few truly understand: the absolute scarcity of Bitcoin. With only 21 million coins that will ever exist, and possibly just 15 or 16 million still accessible due to lost coins, there is no way to simply create more when demand spikes. That's a huge contrast to fiat currencies, where governments can always print more money to fix mistakes. That is not how Bitcoin functions. No central authority, no bailout, and no second chances are in place. When it's gone forever. Additionally, as corporate and potentially even government-level purchasing keeps rising, the remaining supply will quickly decrease. He notes that major individuals like Michael Saylor are already purchasing and removing the majority of recently minted Bitcoin from the market. The supply shortage will further worsen due to continued demand from organizations, businesses, and even nation-states, which is precisely what will cause prices to rise more quickly. Please take a moment to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and enable post notifications for future Bitcoin, macroeconomic, and digital asset content. And as always, happy investing.